Yo, what's going on YouTube? I'm Nick, back again with another video. In today's video, I want to recommend two builds for the upcoming M Plus season. So for the upcoming M Plus season, we have two builds to play. There's going to be a Thunderous Roar orientated build, and there's going to be a Spear of Bastion orientated build. They both have their pros and cons, so we'll explain that once we get to them. But let's start with the Thunderous Roar build. So this is the Thunderous Roar version that I recommended in my leveling video back a couple weeks ago. This build is still going to be completely fine for M+, going into Season 1. A few key points of this build, in case you didn't see that video, is we've got Avatar with Titan's Torment, Thunderous Roar, and Thunderous Words. We have Odin's Fury and Titanic Rage, Reckless Abandon with Unbridled Ferocity, and Ravager and Hurricane. So the good thing with Warrior this time around in Season 1 is pretty much all of our cooldowns line up together. So we've got our Avatar, our Thunderous Roar, and our Recklessness, and our Ravager are all on a 1 minute 30 cooldown, which means you can press them all at the same time to do huge damage on AoE pulls. Then our Odin's Fury is on a 45-second cooldown, which means you can use it pretty much instantly within your burst, so then you'll be able to press it again halfway through your cooldowns usages, so it should line back up for the next full use again. The one macro you want to play with the build is this macro I have here. So you want to do /cast Recklessness, /cast Avatar, /cast Thunderous Roar. I'll have this posted in the in the description, so be sure to check that out if you need to find that. So the pros of the Thunderous Roar build is that Thunderous Roar is uncapped, which means you can do bigger pulls and do a lot more damage. It's also not as confined to a tiny little area. I believe the range on this is, 12-yard range, whereas Spear is a very tiny little circle you have to try and land all the mobs in. Another pro is how fluid the rotation feels to play. It's not as jarring as the Spear build, which is a lot more single target focused, which then leads me into the cons of this build, is that the single target is a little lower than the Spear build. So if single target is something you're worried about, I would probably stay away from this build and I would probably go the Spear build. Another con, which isn't really just specific to this build, but specific to warriors in general, is that we lack a tiny bit of AoE CC, considering we don't run Intimidating Shout. So you could drop like some damage nodes and stuff like that if you really needed a group interrupt for your team. But we do have a singular stun with Stormbolt. Now, I've recorded an opener rotation, so I'm going to show you guys that, and then I'll also show you guys a single target rotation, and then we'll look at the Spear build. Alright, so now we're back with the spear version of the build. So what differs between the last build and this build is that we drop a lot of priority on bloodthirsting, and we pick up pretty much all the nodes that are surrounding Raging Blow. So the rotation is pretty much use a rampage, have your empowered Raging Blows, and you got to use all those charges first, and your execute charge like procs, and then rampage again. Even if you're overcapping rage, you really want to be using those empowered Raging Blows, or else you're going to be losing out on a lot of damage. The pro of this build is that it has better single target. The rotation stays pretty static between single target and AoE, just weaving in some whirlwinds when you're trying to do AoE, but still remaining that same single target rotation, so it's not too complex and it stays pretty similar. The cons of the build is that you're playing Spirit Bastion again, and we've just played that for the last year and a bit, so that kind of sucks. Also that the Spirit Bastion circle is still just as small as it used to be, so you really got to make sure the mobs are stacked nice and tightly before you pop it. The macro that I like to use for the spear build is this spear macro here, which uses your spear at your player location, then it uses your recklessness, and then your avatar. So the thing with this build is that spear is on the GCD, so if you charge in and do any other abilities, you gotta wait for your full GCD before you press it, or else you'll then unalign your cooldowns that little fraction. It could be a little bit irritating in the next pulls if you don't wait that full GCD out. So I also have some footage of the AoE opener and the single target opener of this spear build, so I'll put those in now. There we have it, guys. That's the two builds that I'm going to be playing in Mythic Plus most likely. If you want to see these builds in action, I'll be streaming pretty much most days on Twitch. That'll be in the description below also. The macros will be in the description below. I'll link to my Radar.io if you want to keep up with my character progress and my IO progress. That'll also be down there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!